I will be talking to you today about the amazing art of fire breathing. Now, before we get into this, I want to go over one thing. Do not try this at home. This is something that definitely don't ever try this at home, because it will end badly. So, on with the game. The first thing we're going to be covering is how to spit. Now, I know a lot of us have been taught not to spit by our parents, but it's actually a key thing to learn in this. You want to start by getting water and spitting it out of your mouth. You want to try and turn it into a fine mist. An easy way that I've learned to do it is by making the noise. You want to keep on doing that and try and get into a thin mist as possible. While you're doing this, try and avoid any spray from the water, because whenever you start working with kerosene, you want as little as possible to get on you. Gas. There are certain forms of gas that professionals use. The main thing you want to remember is that when you are fire breathing, it's not the actual liquid that is catching on fire. It is the vapor being given off by the liquid that produces the fire, which is why you want to turn it into a very thin mist. There are three main types of fuel that performers use: kerosene, alcohol, and ethylene acetate. Kerosene produces a very beautiful flame, nice and orange. Alcohol produces a more reddish flame. And ethanol acetate usually produces a very, almost a sun flame, if you've ever stared into the sun for a long time. The good thing about these is that flash points. Kerosene has a very high flash point, which means it's harder to catch on fire. That's usually what you want in fire breathing. Alcohol, on the other hand, has a very low flash point, which means it'll catch on fire like that. Ethylene acetate has a very good, nice, medium flash point, which is precisely what you want. However, ethylene acetate is also the main ingredient in methamphetamines, so you will not be able to buy it in large quantities, and it is very hard to come by. The actual art and practice of it. Whenever you start this, whenever you're getting ready to, you want to have a good stance, almost as if you're in karate, if you've ever taken karate. You want your weight to be very centered so that you're not wobbling all over the place. Whenever you go to fire breathe, you actually want your head up about right there. You want it not straight forward and not overhead. If it's straight forward, you won't be able to control the flame very well. If it's straight up, well, like I said, all of that gasoline is going to come back. Not gasoline, all of that gas that you're using is going to come back and spray on you, which is not a good thing. So you want to keep it to about right there, and then you're going to want to breathe constantly. You never want to inhale at any time, because that's when you have dangerous things happen. I've been to some performances where they have accidentally inhaled and it travels down your throat and into your body, and you literally burn inside out. Second thing is location. This is an outdoor project. Trust me. You want to do this somewhere that you are comfortable and that has an open space to it. You do not want to do this near any trees. You need to be at least 30 feet away from trees or anything else flammable. You also want to make sure that other people know where they need to be standing, and you need to be visually perceptive of where people are standing. You also need to know what the weather condition is going to be like all day. The best time to do this is around dry, cloudy days. You never want to do it during hot, dry days, because that increases your chance of accidentally catching something on fire. You also don't want to do this during windy days, as I just said. bad things can happen. So, the second thing is to learn is whenever you do start training, train with a professional. This is not something you should just pick up on your own because that's when most deaths happen. There have been multiple deaths of this. It is considered one of the most deadliest arts. So always train with a professional. I'm a professional. If you truly do want to learn this, I will be happy to work with you on this. It will take quite a long time, about a year, but you'll eventually get there. Any questions? She is holding one of my torches.
On her side.
Yes, during my actual performances at Crippy Hollow, I sometimes ask people to come on stage with me. These are two cops that I got to come up on stage with me, and I actually got to breathe fire around them. It was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
How did you get into breathing fire?
I started out playing with fire when I was 16, and I know that sounds really bad, but I started off doing poi, which is twirling fire. And I always loved fire, I always loved the manipulation of it. I met a friend who knew how to eat fire, breathe fire, and I came up to him one day and I said, I want to learn that. So he taught me, he trained me, and 3 years later, I'm able to do this, and it's pretty fascinating. It's really fun. I get paid to play with fire.
How often do you work with this?
Where I do this stage is at a Creepy Hollow Haunted House. We're open usually through October, but we have this thing where we're also open every Friday the 13th. So, yeah, the freak show is of course free. There you'll also get to see me sword swallow and eat fire. So.
Is there one main goal that you're trying to go to, or that you're working on that I really want to do?
Ever since a young age, I've always loved performance. I've always loved being up in front of a crowd. But I never really liked the thought of acting or learning lines or trying to be into a different character. I want to be myself. And I've always had this fascination with the term freak. Just because, I mean, ever since the 16th century, whenever freak shows truly started their uprise, it's just been a culture of acceptance. And you get to show talent that no one else has. And it just makes me feel good to be up there and be able to entertain people and be able to make people go, oh no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Okay, he's doing it. And I love it. This one, do you have a question?
If you have to think about all of those different conditions, if the weather is inappropriate, do you just not perform that evening, or what do you do?
We'll usually wait. We never, if it's just a constantly windy day, we will call off the whole fire bit because it has happened. In fact, it's happened to me before where I've actually horribly burned myself. If any of y'all have ever seen Avatar: Last Airbender, I actually looked like Prince Zuko for a good year because of a sudden wind change. And the fire came back and it was just all right there. I burned off both of my eyebrows, my hair, my arm hair, and on one weird incident, my leg and thigh hair.
So that's the goal, right? Because you want to look like a freak, right?
The goal is to give the perception that you are a freak, not to literally become a freak. I mean, whenever I'm in costume and makeup, you probably couldn't tell it's me. It's So that's why this, looking like this is so foreign to me, is because I'm used to dressing up in different ways.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Chris.